This is the Buff Shaman, and I'm going to be doing my Friday the 13th, the final chapter, or Friday the 13th, part 4. Uh, I do have the 4-pack of Friday the 13th. Uh, that glare. I need to do something about that. I need to figure something out about that. But yeah, Friday the 13th, part 4. I have the 4-pack, 1 through 4, in one box. So, this was meant to be the final movie, and they should. The first lesson, I guess, the first time they had the lesson of when you name something Friday the 13th, the final anything, you have to know that it's not going to be. Now, this is one of the worst continuity wise as far as the story goes, the movie goes. It's an enjoyable movie. It's one of the more enjoyable Friday the 13th movies, and it takes place directly after the events of the third movie. But uh, there's two houses that are right by each other. Um, one of them is a party house essentially, and the other one is the home of the Jarvis family. And this introduces one of Friday the 13th's only recurring characters that is not Jason or Jason's mother. In fact, I think he's the only one that's a recurring character, and that is Tommy Jarvis. Although they did screw up his timeline in part 5 and 6, which I will get to when I do the review of those movies later on. But what ends up happening is basically Jason. He's presumed dead at the end of this of Friday the 13th Part 2, and surprise, surprise, again, he escapes from the morgue and finds his way up to this house with these college kids next door to the Jarvis family, who are out there to party, get high, do the things that they do in the Friday the 13th movies that eventually get them killed. Now, one of the interesting things is the thing I liked about the heroine, the survivor in Friday the 13th Part 2 is also true about the Tommy Jarvis character. He gets inside Jason's head a bit. Although not really as intelligent or developed a character as Ginny Steele was, Tommy Jarvis, who was played by Corey Feldman in this movie, did kind of get into Jason's head and use that to his advantage, and kind of flips out at the end and repeatedly hacks Jason over and over again. But I believe it's one of the more interesting times that we see Jason without his mask. Jason was always a mongoloid, but at this point in time, we see what was up to this point the most hideous variation of Jason, and they basically took the wounds he had sustained and actually went back and looked at the wounds he sustained to his facial region, and they actually tried to figure out what scars he would have had and try to do a realistic makeup job with that. And I think the end result was pretty good. But there are, again, so many continuity holes. In the first place, this takes place directly after Friday the 13th Part 3, which directly takes place after Friday the 13th Part 2. However, one of the characters ends up in this movie is actually looking for somebody who disappeared, I believe, in Part 2. It was either Part 2 or Part 3, and they had apparently been missing for weeks. Now this is alone is a continuity error, but this guy has apparently been tracking Jason for a while now, and he's just never even come close. And Jason destroys his rifle, but all sorts of things have gone wrong in this movie. But it was still nonetheless an enjoyable movie. Friday the 13th films, you can't really go into them with a serious mindset. Because once they brought back the dead Jason in the first place to find out he wasn't actually dead, and they kind of went a little goofy on that. And well, it was one of those things that fascinated me as a kid, and I guess I enjoy it. It wasn't afraid to get a little bit goofy here every now and then, and the director, I think, kind of messed up because he really just didn't care about the continuity errors. I think he could have done a better job, but in the end, that's going to be the major factor detracting from its score, not its enjoyability overall. I'm going to give this one, even though it's one of the ones I enjoyed more in the series, I'm going to give it a 2.5 stars, just because of the sheer obvious laziness and the plot holes and continuity errors that the director could have done a better job in. I would, even though I gave it a low score that wise, I would highly recommend it. My personal score would have put it up about 4 stars, but to be honest and impartial, it's got to go down. It's 2.5 stars, and highly recommended regardless. So let me know what you guys think of this movie in the comments below, and like, subscribe. Thank you.